discussed in this on this platform, and this is the beauty, that diversity, and the multiple aspects and perceptions which comes on the stage through the reader and through the students who ask different questions. So coming to this book, which is written by uh, Marc Saxer. Basically, he's not an academician. He is an analyst or strategist or publicist. And this is the thing which I really criticizing in this book, because as an academician, we really want or look for something which is very structured in nature. But when I asked the author that what was the motivation behind writing this book, what the thing which forced you to write this book, he said, political frustration, economic frustration, eco-sociological frustrations. And he's a German, and he wrote this book for the German audience. It's not for the South Asian, though, okay, fine, definitely we can find some kind of links between societies, but specifically this book is written for the German audience. Now, what was the motivation for me to speak about this book at this platform, which I'll be exactly telling you at the end of this talk. So, coming to this book, let me give some kind of introduction of this book. Lots of people, even me, including me, when I saw this book, I felt it's about realism, which is an established theory in international relations. And the students of political science and international relations, they understand very well what is realism and how it is transforming, and very often seen and can be relatable to the current circumstances or the world scenarios or the world conflict issues and etc. But after this book, I felt no, it's not about realism. It's basically he's talking about the changing the system, transformation within the system. And he is talking realism basically for what is meant by realism. It's not about IR, it's meant about the grounded realities, about the realities which is embedded in the structure, which need to be changed. So he is asking for transformation. Though I asked him that transformation basically is usually, if we look into the history back, transformation came after the revolutions. For example, after the 1979 revolution, Iranian or the French Revolution, you can see a very harsh transformation at that time. But the transformation which he is asking is not abrupt. That was an abrupt transformation which came through the revolution. It's more about systematic, step-by-step transformation, which is much needed in today's scenario. The thing which forced me to talk about this book today, that he is talking about the German society, in which he is saying that the system is broken, which need to be mended. And as you know, and it is in your knowledge, that the German society is basically a developed state. They don't have that much issues as we Pakistani have today. And I told him, at least you have a system which is broken, but our system is absent. And still, these people are thinking for the society, for the culture, for their economy, for their political system, for the youth. What can be the role of the government? What is the role of the economy? How things can be managed? How can things can be elevated? And on the other side, if we look at our society in comparison, we are indifferent. Whatever is happening in Pakistan, nobody is caring about that. Every night we saw different transformation, changes of the government's economy is about to default. There's so many issues which even the youth are frustrated. The recent report said around last year, just around 7 lakh literate or educated, skilled people of Pakistan migrated, left Pakistan, according to the recent report. So what we are doing as youth or as the people who are coming, the upcoming generation, we We are here to just tell you exactly, people, you are the people who can bring this change. These people are much in a better position than Pakistan and Germany. They are offering, they have a system which, again, it, according to the author, is broken, not working, or not giving that much productivity which is expected. But still, we are thinking to bring some change. So where we are, if I ask the people here, to the students, so who's your enemy? Some of the people will say terrorism, US, India, poverty, unemployment, illiteracy. Everyone is confused in this sphere. There's no direction exactly what is needed to bring this change. At least, again, transformation, I'm not talking about abrupt transformation, transformation which is needed step by step, according to this author. So, coming to this book, this was the intro of my talk today. According to him, according to the German society. Now, if please, if you, when I'm talking about the book, if you can make a comparison with the current scenario which you people are facing here in Pakistan, like heating geopolitical narrative, markets are closing up, supply chains are broken, digitalization of economy, there is so many issues, which is even after the digitalization, according to this book of the economy, people are losing their jobs because we're replacing the machines with the human beings. So there are no jobs, unemployment, and the fixers are not working. And according to him, after all these issues and the crisis which is mentioned on the first introduction or the first lines, in which he starts the book with the crisis which is currently faced by Germany, that is financial crisis, euro crisis, refugee crisis, democracy crisis, climate crisis, corona crisis, all of these crises. Though I believe that the climate crisis and the corona or refugee crisis are not, I mean, the state is not responsible for them. These are, I mean, natural, was unexpected crisis which occurred during this year. But again, it burdened the government. But the financial crisis, euro crisis, and the democracy crisis, mainly, which is highlighted in this. So basically, he is against the neoliberal system in which the market is free to work and which satisfies every edge in the economy and in the market to support the system and bring it into a running situation. So he is against the neoliberal system. And neoliberalism states that the state has no role. State should not interfere in the free market zones or the free market, floating market. But he's not offering as well. If you look at the internet as well, you can see there's a failure. There's a collapse of this neoliberal system in the globe, in the world. So what we are offering against this neoliberal transformation, what is needed, what is the alternative? There is no alternative currently in the market. According to him, what he suggests here, which I, according to my own words, my own I have analyzed it, that it can be a state-managed neoliberalism, that the state can increase its role. Now, there is a crisis of the democracy as well. The state itself, the democracy itself in crisis. So he came up with the idea of a gardener state, a state which can nurture, as a gardener nurtures the plants. So the state has to be in the role of a gardener state in which the things of the system can grow and come into the running position. Okay. So this is the first point about neoliberalism, which was mentioned, that the failure of neoliberalism in world politics, especially which was mostly felt after the pandemic, corona pandemic, and the financial crisis. Currently, the whole world is in recession. Are you people aware of it? Can you think that what Pakistan on the verge of default, what we people are doing for it? Are the people, political elite, compromising with their needs and political interest to support the economic crisis? There's nothing is going on. People are totally indifferent. They're only working for their own interest, which is means that the society is moving towards um, the society is not inclusive anymore. There is no social alliances about the interest. The second point which he mentions for the transformation, that is social alliances, in which he mentions 9 groups, different 9 groups, from the elite to the people who are not working or unemployed. 9 groups. Though the survey, which is in his book, basically he didn't do that survey and didn't identify that groups. He picked it from somewhere else and added into this book. There's around 9 points, which is 9 groups I mentioned, and their areas of working and their interests, their interests, and where these things can collide together, where these points came together. So one of the questions which came into my mind, for example, climate crisis, which is out of control, and Pakistan is one of the hit country in terms of climate crisis. So why all of these 9 groups are not basically commonly accepting the issue of climate crisis and ready to work on it? But again, we have different in society, we have different groups, different people, different motivations. All the group cannot come together on one page, but still he's talking about the social alliances in order to bring that transformation which is step by step needed. So the first point which I mentioned, that was the failure of neoliberalism. And the second point which is mentioned in his book is about the social alliance. Okay. The social alliance, and the change which he offers beside the gardener state, that is the Green New Deal as well, in which he talks about socio-ecological change, utopian horizon, as he mentioned in the book, and anti-technocrat thesis. That's the third point, which he basically is talking about anti-technocrats. That we do not need people who are initially. If you look at the Imran Khan's cabinet and the government, his policy was based on the technocrats more. Now his thesis is basically anti-technocrats. That he's talking about more or less. I can say that he is more about social constructivism. He's talking about that the people has to, the democracy or the government or the state has to make a social alliance with the people and understand, make a groups in order to basically adjust or address the mounting issues and the crisis. The first two parts of these book, which talks about neoliberalism cannot resolve the system crisis. So this is about the economic aspect. And the number crisis was so much and overlapping in nature that it was vertical and horizontal. And I was really amazed, a society like Germany, which is a developed state, and so much issues which need to be addressed. And what about our society? Do you have any clarity or dimension or approach to even resolve our own issues? So many crises that it gave me a complex view of the crisis. That's why it's written how to overcome the system crisis. So the first part, which talks about the neoliberalism cannot resolve the crisis, talks about the pandemic, talks about the democracy issues, talks about the neoliberalism economic issues. And the second is the progressive camp is weak and divided. The progressive camp, the camp basically which talks about the leftist and right wings and how people in support of their own interests are and running the governments. It's specifically challenging the traditional system which need to be changed. So that's the perspective. Enough is enough. We need to change this. We don't need this system anymore. We do not need this type of democracy in which the privileged are continuing to be privileged. and the people who are supporting the rightists and leftists. Enough with this politics. As a social alliance, other people, he's bringing the people on the front line. Now let's lead ourselves, or let's bring that social cohesiveness and alliance between different groups according to the need and demand of the time. If the state is unable to deliver, if the democracy is unable to deliver, though I don't have any terminology to replace neoliberalism or replace democracy. I don't have any terminology, neither he has given any terminology to replace these two terms. But what he is doing, he is trying, he's basically challenging the system with some new ideas. Though I understand all of our ideas are not practical and it's not workable in all the situations, but at least they are thinking, at least they are concerned. So, what is our role for our country? That is the main reason I have chosen this book. So, the progressive camp is weak and divided. Again, these two parts are very complex, overlapping different crises, issues, difficult to understand the scenario. Though the people who has interest definitely will be understanding this aspect. Second, the third part talks about transformative realism. Again, this realism is talking about the current ongoing crisis and grounded realities in Europe. And if you look to Pakistan since 1947, it's basically we're never out of these crises. So the third part is about transformative realism. Talks about its political economy as it's stupid, not working. Though, as I said, he's not an academician, so his words, his style does not classify and clarify or define every point. He is just giving his ideas. It's you don't need to be a PhD scholar or an MPhil scholar to give your ideas. It's not necessary even to write a book. You can stand anywhere in your platform, in your individual sphere, and share and bring your ideas. What's your problem and how can you resolve it or overcome it? The last part talks about the solutions, talks about the change, in which he talks about the Green New Deal, which is socio-ecological cohesiveness analysis, which is much needed. And it doesn't need so much effort by the state. It can start from you people at the individual level. The socio-ecological alliances or the Green New Deal. We need to take care of our country, climate change issues. We are very well aware. When you have these mobiles in your hand, you can read and understand what's happening around the world. Enough of pursuing your interest, you need to move into the broader interest. The second solution is talking about nurturing and caring gardener state. As I mentioned earlier, gardener state. The role of the state has to be supporting each and every aspect of life which needs more support, that has to be given more support. He talks about equity and equality, and the things which needs more nurturing or watering, so that aspects need to be more cared of. And then he talks about the human economy as well. How to develop the human capital. Because these are the aspects which can really, now he's talking at the very ground level. It's not talking about the state level. Now here, that's why this book is more, maybe definitely for the German audience, but it's about the people. It's about the change which can bring at the lower level. A sovereign and united Europe acting as a guardian. Now this is something which definitely not for South Asian states and thriving homelands. So these are the points which he has given in the last chapter of this book, which is transforming. The third and fourth chapter are more easy to read and to understand because it talks about more solution. It's more solution oriented. As I said, The writer is not an academician, he is a strategist and a planner, and he is working for the last 20 years in an NGO and representing different aspects and issues which are faced by Germany. And the last thing which, according to his speech, he mentioned that search of identity. Now, if I really ask you what is the difference between identity and ideology, most of the students won't be able to identify what is identity and what is the difference between ideology. So this search of identity basically is much needed at the individual level to uplift the morale or the people or human life here. So thank you very much. I'm really thankful and obliged to Punjab University gave me this opportunity, though the book was for German audience, but I tried my best to make the people understand how people are thinking abroad and how it can be related to our own audience in Pakistan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marium, for this wonderful selection. And also, thank you for trying to shake us all out of our slumber. My question is that in this book, as the title clearly tells us, Transformative Realism, that the author is asking us, the author is trying to convince us that we need to reorient ourselves and we need to take stock of the situation. And I think the book has this universal appeal and lots of things that you've talked about today. My question is that usually the way academia works, that there is this beautiful Urdu expression called hikmat-e-nazari. So we do a lot of talk, we discuss, we share ideas, we try to understand things. But when it comes to another Urdu expression, hikmat-e-amali, usually we the academics have none. We just discuss books and that is the end of it. And you then have given us a shock therapy that we need to do something about it. So, as a student, I would ask you, what should be done? Now, since we have discussed it, let's take a step further. What sort of plan would you suggest for us so that today, on the 14th day of December, we initiate a revolutionary struggle in Pakistan?
According to my experience and over the time, I have learned that we cannot change others. According to my experience and over the time, I have learned that we cannot change others. Change can be brought in yourself. So if you change yourself within your individual sphere, that is more than you're enough. And it is very, believe me, satisfactory. If you sleep at night satisfied that you have done your best and you didn't miss any opportunity which can be done.
So can we call that transformative realism?
That is at the individual level that our role. We are not in the government, we don't work neither in the establishment, so we have no role to play. But at least, for example, being an academician, as an academician, so I write in the newspaper, I try my best to convince people, I speak here, so that whatever in my capacity, I cannot exceed my capacity. First of all, you need to identify what is your capacity and what you can change and what you cannot change. So you can change yourself. So that's what I'm doing.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम डॉक्टर साहब, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर सलमान ब्रिंगिंग में। वो मेरे यहाँ पे टीचर भी बैठे डॉक्टर हमा साहब, बहुत शुक्रिया। जैसे ही आपने मुझे यहाँ पे एक नई टर्म मिली सोशल अलायंसेस की, वैसे तो हम इसको पॉलिटिकल अलायंस और डिफरेंट अलायंसेस स्टेट अलायंसेस में देखते हैं, तो यहाँ पे जिस तरह इन्होंने बुक में ग्रीन इकॉनमी इन चीज़ों का जिक्र किया, तो पाकिस्तान की सोसाइटी में ये अलायंसेस किस तरह से बनेंगे? क्योंकि अगर हम सोशल अलायंस इन चीज़ों की तरफ जाते हैं बट सोसाइटी इतनी ज़्यादा इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है और सोसाइटी में जो तालीम है वो बहुत निचले दर्जे पे है, तो इसको प्लीज आप हम एज अ स्टूडेंट किस तरह डिफाइन करेंगे कि हम लेके चल सकें?
सोशल अलायंसेस, मेरी भी जब ऑथर से बात हुई मैंने कहा वैसे भी गवर्नमेंट के अंदर ये प्रेशर ग्रुप्स होते हैं, इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप होते हैं, तो इस तरह की तो अलायंसेस है, लेकिन वो इंटरेस्ट बेस्ड है। ये जो सोशल अलायंसेस, दो मैंने अभी बात की थी, बड़ी किसी ने कमेंट किया था, दिस इज नॉट ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव रियलिज्म, दिस इज ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव आइडियलिज्म। So basically, social alliances, I believe कि पाकिस्तानी हमारी सोसाइटी इतनी स्कैटर्ड है, और फिर उसमें जो आंसर पॉलिटिक्स की वजह से आया है, और रिजिडिटी, रिलीजियस एक्सट्रीमिज्म, उससे पहले एथनिसिटी के इश्यूज थे, दिस सो मेनी, पहले बहुत ज़्यादा पॉकेट्स हैं, बट कहीं ना कहीं तो ऐसा एस्पेक्ट है, फॉर एग्जांपल इकोनॉमी के ही नाम पे कहीं भी अलायंस बन सकती है, तो यहाँ पे तो हमें प्रायोरिटाइज करना पड़ेगा। मैं फॉर श्योर नहीं कह सकती कि वो कौन से ऐसे इश्यूज पे सोशल अलायंस हो सकती है, क्योंकि इतने सिवियर पॉकेट्स हो गए स्पेशली 1980s के बाद पाकिस्तान के अंदर, कि जिसको रिजॉल्व करना हमारे बस की बात नहीं है। लेकिन अब अगर यहाँ का सारा पढ़ा लिखा तबका ही बाहर जा रहा है, तो पीछे किसको छोड़ के जा रहे हैं? वो सोशल अलायंसेस कैसे बनेंगी? तो यहाँ पे स्टेट का रोल नहीं, आजकल के बच्चे, हर बच्चा ये कहता है हमें बाहर की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिले, हम बाहर चले जाएं। दिस इज रियली अ फैक्ट, अ बिटर फैक्ट।
लेकिन फिर हम का, मैं तो यही कहता हूँ, हमारे स्टूडेंट्स तो कहते हैं कि हम विल जस्ट डिग आवर फीट एंड विल वर्क,
फिर हमारा काम डबल हो गया है।
मैम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि
या यू कैन सी जी
सर है मैम, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे आपने अभी लास्ट पॉइंट कह दिया कि मतलब ये राइटर ये कहते हैं कि आइडियोलॉजी और आइडेंटिटी के दरमियान आप डिफरेंशिएट कर रहे हैं, तो हम अगर एक सोसाइटी में रहते हैं तो किसी ना किसी आइडियोलॉजी को तो मुझे अपनाना पड़ेगा, किसी ना किसी आइडियोलॉजी के साथ तो मुझे जाना पड़ेगा। तो इस किस्म में जहाँ पे मतलब ये सारी चीज़ें मिंगल हो गई, आइडियोलॉजी आइडेंटिटी और आइडेंटिटी आइडियोलॉजी में, तो मैं किससे डिफरेंशिएट कर सकती हूँ?
एक किताब है पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ इमोशंस, इट सेज दैट द 20th century was the century of US and ideology. The 21st century is a century of China and identity. The world has moved out of this ideology narrative. आज आप जो कुछ हैं आप वही हैं, जो आप बन के दिखा रही हैं आप वही हैं, there is no more ideology. ये वो बातें नहीं है कि हम टू नेशन थ्योरी पे कि आइडियोलॉजी के पर्सपेक्टिव को लेके हम आगे चलें. Now it's identity, where you stand, where Pakistan stands, what's the identity of the Pakistanis now. So the world has moved. ये ट्रेडिशनल पर्सपेक्टिव है, और ये इस वक्त what is needed to survive, identity. So in search of identity, basically that's the main objective of this book.
ये कैसे हो सकता है? ज़्यादा सवाल
Thank you so much.